We're now being joined to make sense of where we are as a people. Forget, this is not a political party affairs. This is not a campaign matter. This is about the livelihood of you as a Nigerian, the hope of our country, the future of our children, and yet the one yet unborn. And it's important for us to have this conversation. If this government is faltering, let's find out the fault and fix it. If this government needs to move forward, if they have made any progress, let's say it, so that we can together make sense of our country today. I'm being joined by Mr. Felix Morka, who is the National Publicity Secretary of the APC, who is live from me right here in our Abuja studio. Thanks so much, Mr. Morka, for your time today.
Thank you, Sheil.
I appreciate it. And virtually is Prince Adewole Adebayo, who is a lawyer and economist, who is the presidential candidate of the SDP. He's joining us virtually. Thanks so much, Prince Adebayo, for joining us tonight.
Thank you very much, Sheil, and God bless Nigeria.
Thank you. Let's begin with a central issue tonight before the nation. When Nigerians compare their lives today with where they were in May 2023, should they feel more hopeful or more disappointed? And I'd like you to begin the conversation for us tonight.
Thank you, Sheil. I think that Nigerians have every reason to feel more confident about their country and therefore more hopeful about the future. Because the state of affairs in this country as of 2023 compared to today is actually comparing night and day. Because on the one hand, as of May 2023, this country was not doing well. All of the fundamental numbers were off. From the exchange rates to the just basic living was all phantom. A lot of it were phantom. And I say phantom because they were not real. Because the distortions in the economy were overwhelming on every facet. For instance, you refer to the value of the naira related to the dollar as of 2023, about 460 or thereabout, right? But that was dictated. It was not the real value of the naira. So every figure that derives from that, naira dictation was actually false. It was phantom because it wasn't real. How can it be real when you would exchange 460 officially and anyone in the system could round trip that same number and get nearly what the value is today, about 900 naira to the dollar. See, it was not real. So, it's difficult to make that comparison between 2023 and 2025 because, a lot of what you had then was unreal. And that's the distortion that this government keeps talking about. And what this president has done since 2023 is to really tackle the root causes of all of those distortions, whether it was the fuel subsidy, whether it was the crazy arbitrage in the foreign exchange system. None of that was real. And so what Nigerians are dealing with today is closer to reality. And when you plan with reality, then you are more likely to actually have outcomes and results that are more realistic, more defensible, and more, promising in terms of the future. And today, like you said, we've gone from $3 billion in our foreign reserve to nearly $50 billion. That counts for something because the world is taking us more seriously today, which is why you see a lot of investment, new investment coming in all the sectors, whether it's the oil and gas or other sectors. People are coming in to invest because they have more confidence. Our naira has been stable for months. Our balance of payment systems has been good consistently for nearly 10 quarters. So look, you can go on and on. So I think that optimism is what Nigeria should share.
So I will break it down further to also, because like I said, if the Tinubu government has done anything good, let's say it so that we can build it.
Absolutely.
If there is a failure somewhere, let's say it and let's fail. This government is not about Bola Tinubu. It's not about Kashim Shettima. It's not APC. This government, at the end of the day, is about the 250 million of all of us. We have as much stake as President Bola Tinubu has, and everyone should have a say in it. Prince Adewole Adebayo, same question to you. Are Nigerians' lives better off as of May 29, 2023 and today?
Okay, thank you. The fact of the matter is that no one's life is better off, except those who are in government. You asking the question, know that your life is not better off in terms of all the economic indicators. I know that my life is not better off, and those of my neighbors are not better off. But I want us to understand something clearly, which is going to give us context, so that Mr. Morka or anyone who's participating in this conversation will not have they versus us mentality. Let us agree on 3 fundamental principles. 1, that 4 years ago or 3 years ago, 2023 that we're talking about, all the grim picture and the bleak statistics that Mr. Morka referred to were grim pictures and horror movies that were written after 8 years of APC in government. So it is the same political party, usually the same characters, that led to that state of affairs that he is now painting as terrible, fake, unrealistic. That was after Nigerians had voted for them 2 times in presidential elections, and they produced that state of affairs. So let us understand that fundamental principle. Second principle is that the economy that we're talking about supersedes politics. So if the economy is working, you do not need to tell anyone that the economy is working, because everyone is a participant in the economy. And the economy has 2 sides, the production process and the consumption process. The production process, you would ask industrialists, farmers, other service professionals, banks, everybody who is rendering services or producing goods and services. Chamber of Commerce, NASIMA, MAN, every industry group, they have their statistics. So the economy belongs to all of us. And no one is doing well. Majority not doing well. Lastly, you have the common people. When all our economic policies have crystallized, it will result in how much you sell fish compared to the salary of a household who needs to give fish as protein for their children. It will crystallize into how much you pay in rent. Between the amount of rent you have to pay to your landlord and the salary that you earn, and your landlord is going to look at how much rent he's getting compared to how much he's buying cement, other building materials, reinforcement, and all of that. Then you look at ability to make progress. For example, what is the employment rate and what is the quality of employment? And then you look at access to education, healthcare, cost of transportation, and all of that. So in all of these objective ramifications, no one's life is better off than before. Now, if we admit to that, and we concede to these statistics, we can now find out why, what went wrong. Is there no sufficient time for a government that has been in power for 11 years now? Is there no sufficient time for their economic policies to come to fruition? Or are they pursuing inconsistent policies? Or they just don't have the rigor to do the work? Or are they not mastering the number properly? Are they misaligning their policies, or they don't have the discipline, whether fiscal discipline or monetary discipline, to drive economic outcomes, and the way they handle project management, where, for example, they have not achieved more than 17% performance in all the 3 budgets that they've implemented. So let us not take it like we are deceiving ourselves. The failure of the Bola Ahmed Tinubu presidency in terms of the economy is also my own failure as a person who is in the economy. But my refusal to deceive myself in terms of the state of the economy would serve the country and the president better than we coming here defensively saying things that are not in reality. And I can give you indicators one by one, comparative analysis.
All right.
So I submit with utmost respect and most sadly that President Tinubu's 3 years on the saddle is just a continuation of the initial 8 years wasted by that political party under President Muhammad Buhari. Right. There is no turning the corner yet.
Good morning. Now, what you watched in that conversation was not simply a debate between a ruling party spokesman and an opposing figure. It was actually a microcosm of the central tension defining Nigeria today. The gap between macroeconomic numbers and the lived reality of ordinary Nigerians. Both men were telling a version of the truth, and both were leaving out critical parts of it. Let's break it down layer by layer. Part 1. What Mr. Felix Morka got right and what he glossed over. Morka's core argument was that the pre-2023 economy was built on illusions, artificially fixed exchange rates, phantom numbers, and a subsidized fiction. And that what Nigerians are experiencing today is painful but real. He is not entirely wrong on this. On foreign reserves, now these are the places the facts back him up. On foreign reserves, he is largely correct. Net external reserves, which stood below $4 billion in 2023, have risen to over $34 billion, while gross external reserves have climbed close to $50 billion. That is a real and significant improvement, not a fabrication. On investor confidence, the data supports him. Nigeria's foreign capital importation rose for 2 consecutive years to $23.21 billion in 2025, in sharp contrast to a steady decline to $3.9 billion in 2023. Money is coming into Nigeria that was not coming before. On the stock market, the numbers are striking. The NGX All-Share Index rose from about 55,700 points in 2023 to over 254,000 points in 2026. And market capitalization rose from about 30 trillion naira to more than 160 trillion naira. On credit ratings, S&P recently upgraded Nigeria's rating from B- to B, while Fitch and Moody's improved the country's outlook. On inflation, there is measurable progress. Headline inflation declined from 34.80% in December 2024 to 15.15% in December 2025, a drop of 19.65 percentage points. Food inflation also fell sharply from 39.84% to 10.84% over the same period. On GDP grew for 2 consecutive years to 3.38% in 2024 and further to 3.87% in 2025, unlike the decline recorded in 2023. So Morka has a genuine case to make. The macro architecture of the Nigerian economy is more stable, more honest, and more attractive to outside investors than it was in 2023. But here is what Morka deliberately did not say. The APC has been in power since 2015, 11 consecutive years. The very phantom economy he was criticizing, the subsidy distortions, the FX arbitrage, the fake numbers, those were products of 8 years of APC government under Buhari. It is a remarkable political feat to spend 8 years creating a problem and then spend the next 3 years taking credit for partially fixing it. Prince Adebayo landed that blow squarely. Also, Morka did not mention Nigeria's debt trajectory. Under President Tinubu, the total debt stock rose by 219% to 159.27 trillion at the end of 2025 from 49.85 trillion naira at the end of 2023. And critically, Tinubu recently disclosed that Nigeria would spend approximately $11.6 billion or about 18 trillion naira on debt servicing in 2026 alone, a trajectory described as difficult to sustain. Part 2. What Prince Adewole Adebayo got right and where he was incomplete. Adebayo's argument was blunt. No one's life is better off except those in government. He grounded his argument in every economy. He grounded his argument in the everyday economy. The price of fish, rent, transport, jobs, healthcare. He was speaking the language of ordinary Nigerians, and the data largely backs him. On poverty, the most damning numbers of all. Poverty in Nigeria rose to 63% in 2025 despite a slowdown in inflation, underscoring the limited impact of the recent macroeconomic improvements on household welfare. The World Bank, as he said, the share of Nigerians living below the poverty line increased from 56% in 2023 to 61% in 2024, before rising further to 63% in 2025, equivalent to about 140 million people. Let that number sit with you. When Tinubu came to power, 56 out of 100 Nigerians, 56 out of every 100 Nigerians were in poverty. Today, it is 63 out of every 100. That is roughly 14 million additional Nigerians falling into poverty under this administration. These are not opposition statistics. These are World Bank figures. The World Bank noted that household incomes have not grown fast enough to offset still elevated inflation, and poverty has yet to begin declining. In plain language, the economy may be growing, but the growth is not reaching the people at the bottom. On cost of living, informed estimates put the monthly cost of living in Nigeria at about 505,780 naira for a single person and 1,818,926 naira for a family of 4, excluding rent. Now compare that to Nigeria's minimum wage of 70,000 naira, recently increased under pressure from labor unions. The mathematics is brutal. A family of 4 needs roughly 1.8 million per month, at 1.8 million naira per month to survive decently. Yet most Nigerian workers earn a fraction of that. That is not a policy debate, it is a humanitarian reality. On petrol and the cost of removal, petrol moved from 185 naira per litre in May 2023 to about 900 per litre today, to about 1,200 per litre today. The naira fell from 460 naira per dollar to over 1,500 naira per dollar on the official window, then steadied. These two shocks, subsidy removal and currency devaluation, hit ordinary Nigerians simultaneously and with devastating force. Transport costs doubled and tripled. Food prices followed. Market women, students, civil servants, farmers, everyone absorbed the blow at the same time with no meaningful safety net to cushion them. On the middle class specifically, once the backbone of consumption, investment and job creation, the middle class, estimated at June 23 at just 23% of the population by the African Development Bank, is increasingly unable to withstand the pressure of inflation, fuel subsidy removal, naira devaluation, and rising utility costs. This is arguably the most underreported crisis of the Tinubu era. It is not just the poor who are suffering. Doctors, lawyers, teachers, engineers, people who were once comfortable are now making impossible choices between rent and feeding. On security, a point neither man fully addressed. Nigeria standing in the Global Terrorism Index has worsened. Nigeria ranked as the world's fourth most terrorized country in 2026, compared with 8th in 2024 and 6th in 2025. This is a significant deterioration that the APC government really leads with its scorecard. Farmers cannot farm, supply chains are disrupted, food prices remain elevated partly because of insecurity in the food belt. You cannot fully explain Nigeria's poverty numbers without accounting for this. Now, this is where Mr. Adebayo's argument has a gap. His case, while emotionally and morally resonant, risks implying that nothing should have changed in 2023. The subsidy, for instance, was genuinely unsustainable. Nigeria was spending billions of dollars per year to make fuel cheap, but the biggest beneficiaries were wealthy Nigerians and fuel smugglers, not the poor. The removal was the right policy decision, executed with terrible social insensitivity and almost no transition support for vulnerable Nigerians. Adebayo is right that the suffering is real, but a responsible opposition must also acknowledge what was broken and offer a credible alternative, not simply catalogue the pain. Now, part 3, the core truths both men danced around. Here is the honest synthesis that neither Morka nor Adebayo fully articulated for ordinary Nigerians. Nigeria's macroeconomy has stabilized. Ordinary Nigerians have not. This is not a contradiction. It is the central crisis of the Tinubu era, and it has a name: the decoupling of macroeconomic growth from human welfare. Think of it this way. Imagine a hospital where the building has been renovated, new equipment purchased, and international accreditation obtained, but the patients inside are getting sicker. The hospital's metrics look impressive to the outside world. The patients don't feel it. That is Nigeria right now. The Center for the Promotion of Private Enterprise assessed that the administration's first 3 years were defined by bold reforms that helped stabilize Nigeria's fragile economy, but have yet to translate into meaningful welfare gains for citizens. This is perhaps the most honest single-sentence verdict on the Tinubu era to date, and it came from a private enterprise body, not a political opponent. The country reportedly lost an estimated 94 trillion naira to multinational divestment and business closures between 2023 and 2024, with erratic electricity supply playing a significant role. Major multinationals, GSK, Procter and Gamble, Sanofi, and others, left Nigeria during this period. These were employers. Their departure meant job losses, reduced tax revenue, and reduced product availability for consumers. No amount of stock market rally compensates for that at the street level. Now, this Adebayo's 11 years argument, why it matters more than people realize. Let's look into this. One of the most important points Prince Adebayo made, and it deserves to be amplified, is that this is not Tinubu's mess alone. The APC has governed Nigeria since 2015. The structural decay Morka blames for Nigeria's 2023 state, the forex distortions, the subsidy corruption, the phantom economy, was incubated and nurtured under APC's own watch. Under APC's own watch. You cannot spend 8 years deepening a crisis and then present yourself as the solution to it while still being the same party with many of the same people pursuing many of the same political incentives. This is not a partisan point, it's an accountability point. Nigerians deserve to know that when they vote in 2027, they are not simply choosing between APC and another party. They are choosing between a government that believes its own macroeconomic narrative and a country that is getting poorer by the quarter. Now let's balance the verdict. So is Nigeria better under Tinubu after 3 years? Now, to be honest, it depends on who you are. Now let's look at this. It depends on who you are. Foreign investor. If you're a foreign investor, you can say yes, it is better because there is cleaner FX market, there's cleaner forex market, better reserves, improved credit rating. If you are a stock market investor, you can say yes, dramatically better because market went up to over 300%. Now, to middle class, if you are a middle class Nigerian, the answer is no, because purchasing power has collapsed, lifestyle has shrunk. If you are a poor Nigerian, you are significantly worse because it's 63% now in poverty, up from 56%. If you are a business owner, it is mixed. Better forex access, but higher operating costs. If you are a small trader or artisan, you are not better because transport costs, energy costs, and food costs have gutted margins. If you are a farmer, the answer is no. Capital no. Insecurity, high input costs, and weak infrastructure persists. If you are a government official, of course, yes, budgets are larger, revenue is higher, political patronage flows. The reforms Tinubu implemented were structurally necessary. Virtually every credible economist agrees the subsidy had to go and the exchange rate had to be unified. But necessary does not mean painless, and painless does not mean managed. The Tinubu administration made bold decisions and then largely left ordinary Nigerians to absorb the consequences alone, with inadequate social protection, insufficient job creation, and a budget implementation rate, as Adebayo correctly pointed out, that has consistently underperformed. The CPPE warned that macroeconomic stability alone would not be enough unless ordinary Nigerians begin to see improvements in incomes, jobs, and living conditions. That warning, issued at the 3-year mark, is essentially a report card. The first phase of reform is done. The second phase, the human phase, has barely begun. Now, in conclusion, if you are sitting in Lagos, Kano, Aba, or Maiduguri, wondering whether your suffering is real or whether you are imagining it, you are not imagining it. The data confirms your experience. But also understand this: the conversation you watched was two men arguing about whose narrative of Nigeria should prevail. What Nigeria actually needs is leaders who will argue about whose children will eat tomorrow and then build policies around that answer. The macroeconomic is the foundation, but a foundation with no house built on it is just a slab of concrete. 3 years in, Nigerians are still living on the slab. The house has not arrived yet. Whether it arrives and whether this government deserves the time to build it is the question Nigerians will answer in 2027. Thank you for listening. Thank you for your time. Go right into the comment section. Put your comment there. Pour out your ad there. Share your views and opinions. Then like the video, share it, and please, most importantly, subscribe. Thank you.